Hey guys, welcome back to Sparks and Recreation. Today's video, we're going to talk about something that I'm sure there's lists out there, but this is my personal experience list. I've been a car dealer for 10 years, since about November of 2014, and tax season is coming. These are the 10 vehicles not to buy with that tax money you're about to get back. If you do, you're probably not going to make it through the year to the next one. So here's the deal. Any of these cars on this list, maybe you'll find one that happens to be decent, but the chances are very slim. I've either bought these cars myself or we service them at our shop all the time. Cars that people have spent way too much money on, and you should just save yourself the hassle and not buy one. Here is number 10 on our list, and it is going to be a blanket statement for any and all Cadillacs ever produced. At least ones you can afford with your tax money. A Cadillac got that name back in the 50s and 60s when they were super popular and the most wealthy people had them. Now it's literally, if you buy a brand new one, cool, there is a way better option. I don't know why you bought it, because that kind of money you can get a much nicer car than a Cadillac. But if you're in that tax money struggle trying to figure it out, do not buy a Cadillac from like the mid 90s all the way through today, because if you can afford it, you don't want it. If it's under $10,000, it's going to be riddled with problems. The very old ones from the early 90s, the mid 90s, that had either the 4.9 V8 or the North Star V8. Complete garbage, engineering nightmares. You get into the 2000s, then you have like the GM 3.6 that has all sorts of timing code issues. You don't want to deal with any of these cars because they're not good. The all-wheel drive system sucks. You have constant issues with wheel speed sensors. Everybody I know that's ever bought a Cadillac, that literally, period, is a complete piece of crap. And if you think, oh, I'm going to be a baller and go get like a CTS V1 with that tax money, if you can afford a CTS V1 for under 10 grand, it's a piece of crap. Don't buy it. Brings us to number 9 on our list. This is going to be any GMC Terrain, Chevy Traverse, Suzuki XL7, Chevy Equinox, anything that shares that same GM 3.6 V6 that most of them have. Even the 4-cylinders junk. Say, I'm like, oh, I'll just get the one with the 4-cylinder. No, that's a piece of crap too. Oil consumption issues, timing chain issues on both the V6 and 4-cylinders. The reason that you see these cheap everywhere is that small dealers can get them dirt cheap. Like, literally, so a 1991 Corolla with 300,000 miles will run through auction, right? It'll bring like $1,000. You're like, holy crap, brought $1,000. Wow. A 2013 GMC Terrain with every option, the thing will like heat your seats and you get air conditioned seats, so nice. That'll sell at auction for like $200. You know why? Because there's a little note at the very bottom of every single auction I've ever seen for a Traverse, Terrain, Equinox, XL7. This has a known manufacturer issue with timing chains at about 80 to 120,000 miles. Do not buy it unless you know you're going to have to put the motor in it or do the timing service. So don't get caught in this trap. You're going to go pay 8 grand for it because it seems nice. You know nothing about cars. You're just a soccer mom. You're just a cool dad trying to get his nice car. Don't buy it. Every single one I've ever dealt with is a piece of crap. You could not give me one. I don't want it unless we're derby in it. That's about it. All right. Number 8, this is going to be the Chevy Cruze. I know I'm just knocking on GM. There's going to be some other issues here coming along, but in general, most GM vehicles, there's a couple of good ones here and there, you know, like 11 to like 13 Malibu is halfway decent. That's like the little slept-on car, halfway decent, but a lot of them are junk, especially the Chevy Cruze. Don't get tricked into buying one of these pieces of crap, whether it's a turbo, non-turbo, automatic, 5-speed. They're all junk. Every single one I've ever seen come in is just like the old, like, the Chevy Aveo. Seems like a decent car, but it's really just a Daewoo piece of crap, and it's non-stop issues. And it's the same thing with these. They're built super cheap. They have constant issues. You're never going to have your check engine light off. You might as well just deal with it. It's a waste of money. Don't buy a Chevy Cruze. That brings us to number 7. What not to buy with your tax money. This is going to be kind of sad for me because I love Nissans. Old Nissans are sick. I want an old Datsun. I want an old Nissan. But I do not want any like 2007 and newer Altima, Maxima, Sentra, Versa, anything that was switched over to a CVT transmission. And this even goes through today. Like, my buddy has a 2020 Sentra. They put 4 trannies in before 40,000 miles. It was returned under lemon law. They have not figured out how to make a CVT transmission over at Nissan. You do not want it. This is going to go for the Rogue and other small SUVs made by them as well. Do not buy it. There's, again, at every auction, they sell for nothing. You can barely give them away. Know why? Because there's a little note. Known manufacturer defect, 100% failure rate on the transmissions. So don't buy one. I will say, though, if you get one with a manual transmission, like you get an old like Versa with a manual, they'll go 300,000 miles, no problem. It's literally just the transmissions are junk. And unfortunately, 95% of them have an automatic CVT transmission, and don't buy it. Right, that brings us to number 6. This is going to be a blanket statement, again, kind of like the Cadillac. Do not buy any BMW, Audi, Mercedes-Benz. You can't afford it. These cars were $100,000 when they were new. The one that you really want, oh my God, a 750i, that'd be amazing. Or, oh, I want an S500, that'd be sick. Or, oh, I want an A8L, I want the big body A8 with a V8 in it. Oh my God, it's gonna be nasty. It's not. They're very cool if you are independently wealthy. You do not have the money to maintain it. And this is going to be one of those moments where like, but I saw it on Cars and Bids, and there's some idiot paying 50 grand for a 20-year-old A8. What a dumbass. It's got like, yeah, it has 85 service records. Yeah, it's a one owner. I'm at tax time, I'm going to buy an A8 myself. I'm going to get it for $5,000. Yes, it may have 65 owners. Yes, it may have 300,000 miles, but I'm going to have an A8 with my tax money. Don't do it. You can't afford it. Those cars are a complete nightmare. They're built super crappy. So, yes, the door makes a nice thud when you shut it, but you touch the button, it breaks. Inside that door, what controls that freaking window motor? There's probably a computer in there that controls it. Even 20 years ago, you cannot afford to maintain these cars. Don't buy them, especially if you live in a state where you had to plug in for inspection, because they are just every light on the dash is going to be on at all times. They have air suspension, stuff you can't afford. Just don't buy it. It may look cool. Get your life right before you buy one, dude. All right. Brings us to number 5. What not to buy with that tax money. This is going to be specific to anybody in the Northeast or Northern Territory. A 2010 to 14 Subaru Legacy or Outback. Why? They seem to run fine. Subarus run forever. Well, it may run fine. And they had figured out most of the head gasket issues by then. But the front subframe was not coated properly from the factory with any kind of real paint. It just flakes off and it rots. Literally, you sneeze at these front subframes and it rots. You get underneath it, you shake the control arm, it'll fall right out of the subframe. I sell tons of Subarus. That's my main thing. I do not buy these cars unless it has a brand new looking front subframe in it, because it's like a $2,000 to $3,000 problem, and everybody gets tricked on these because it looks all right. It looks fine. There will be no rust anywhere. But you need to check every square inch of that subframe, because if you don't, man, I'm telling you, it will rot out and it's going to cost you a fortune to deal with it. Okay, number 4 on our list is going to be any of the Ford products that share the same chassis from 2010 and newer. This is going to be the Taurus, the Explorer, the MKS, the MKT, and Ford Flex. So this is going to be the bigger body Ford products. They all use either a 3.5 non-turbo, 3.5 twin-turbo, or 3.7 non-turbo. The problem is, all 3 of these motor options, if you get underneath it, you see a little bit of residue on the bottom of the water pump, that means it's already weeping, and you're going to have an internal issue. The water pump is internal, along with the timing chains, guides, and tensioners. It's like a $3,000 problem. On top of that issue, there's 2 other things you got to worry about. If it's an EcoBoost, you have turbos that fail all the time. You've also seen on the turbo models, spark plugs drop out of the cylinder head down into and the motor get chewed up and sent through the whole thing, destroy it. Other than just basic turbo issues. And then on top of all of these issues, the all-wheel drive system is based on a front-wheel drive basis. It's not based off rear-wheel drive like a truck or something. The power transfer unit is what they call it, which is basically the transfer case. There is no service to it for like fluids. It's a sealed unit. And around 100,000 miles, what happens is that you'll be driving down the road. All of a sudden it smells like propane inside the car. You're like, what the hell is that? What that smell is actually what's left of the fluid in it just evaporating and burning, coming out the vent. And it's eating all the internals. There is no way to service it prior unless you drill a hole and make it so that you have, a plug to drain it out and fill it. Most people don't do that. So what you're going to end up with is a car that needs a $3,000 timing job, $3,000 turbos, and a $2,000 power transfer unit. So hopefully you only paid like nothing for it, because you're going to be in 10 grand within the first couple months. Most people trade them in because they're on like the forums or they brought it to the dealer and they told them that you can get away with just turning the car in and it doesn't look that bad. But I'm telling you, don't buy it. It's a nightmare. Next, number 3. Any of the Jeep Patriot, Compass, Renegade, or the newer Cherokee, all of these Jeep products that are sold with the CVT automatic transmission. This is basically, again, like 2009, like in that time period, all the manufacturers are switching over to the first generation of CVT transmissions that they could come up with. The problem is that Jeep, Nissan, a lot of these companies, and Ford even with like the Focuses, those are terrible too. Don't buy those. They never figured out how to get the CVT transmission to work properly. Honda, Toyota, they have better versions of this. But all of these Jeeps, even through now. So, like, I have a buddy with a 2020. He has one of those Cherokees with the weird headlights where they sit lower than, like, the fog lights. 3 transmissions and 40,000 miles. I've sold a bunch of Patriots and Compasses that had bad CVTs that cost a fortune. I no longer sell those cars. I learned my lesson 10 years ago. They are junk, but I still see people pay $7,000 at tax time, pick one up, think it's good for the family. You're doing yourself a disservice. Do not buy these. They're complete junk. On top of that, they also rot out in the rear subframe. So how we're talking with the Subarus rot out in the front, these rot out in the rear. You get behind one that's got some weird camber, dude, no, it doesn't need struts. The rear subframe is rotted out of it. I guarantee it. That brings us to number 2. And you guys are going to hate these last 2 because it's going to be the number 1 thing I'm asked about at my lot for tax time. And these 2 things, it's not going to happen. Number 2, any pickup truck in your budget. Well, so that sounds like, wow, that's just a really dumb thing to say. My budget's $10,000. Well, no, it's not a dumb thing to say because a $10,000 truck today was a $2,500 truck 10 years ago. It is a complete piece of crap. There is no good truck for under $10,000. And if it is, it's going to be a 2-wheel drive, like early 2000s 4.6 liter Ford F-150 with a 5-speed manual, single cab with a long bed. Or its equivalent through the Chevy and Dodge. So if you get a 5.7 Hemi low mile, single cab, 2-wheel drive, base model trucks that you don't want, you will not even consider those trucks I just talked about. You don't want a 4.8 1500 Chevy with a 5-speed and 2-wheel drive. Maybe you do, but most people don't. You want the 4-wheel drive, you want a diesel, you want a 3/4 ton, you want a 1 ton. Dude, let's be real. A nice truck is 20 to 30,000. A really nice truck is like 50,000, and a damn, that's a nice truck is a $100,000 piece these days. So your 10 grand isn't gonna buy shit. I'm telling you, it's gonna be junk. Don't waste the money. And I get it. It makes sense. You're gonna take this tax money. You're gonna better your life, right? You're gonna buy a truck. You're gonna start your landscaping company. You're gonna do drywall. You're going to do your mobile detail business out of this truck. But the problem is you're never going to make it that far because you're going to go drop $6 grand for a truck, get home, realize that the whole frame has great stuff like the sealer shoved in it, and they painted over it. You touched it, your finger went through it. The frame's rotten in half. It's got 6 check engine lights. You can't get it. You got your 14-day sticker from your DMV saying you need to get it inspected in that period of time. It's not going to pass. You're going to get a million tickets trying to drive this thing. Use this year to not start your new life. Instead, you're going to better your life towards progress where you can afford to get the things that you want. An $8,000 truck isn't it. I'm telling you, unless it's like a family friend in a state that you know, someone that your grandpa died and left it to you and they'll take $8 grand for it, you are a lucky dude. Maybe that will happen to you. But if you show up on Marketplace, I'm telling you right now, every single truck under $10,000 is going to be a goddamn nightmare. Don't do it. I sell cheap trucks on my lot. They're from like the 80s for 10 grand that are in okay shape. You're not going to get a 2003 6.0 freaking bulletproof. Oh, it's bulletproof. It's bulletproof. No, it's not. It's a piece of shit with 400,000 miles and it's going to break down. Don't do it. Okay, so you just saw a bunch of pictures of shitty trucks that you are considering. Don't do it. Number 1, again, you're not going to like me for this. And this is the number 1 thing not to buy with your tax money. This is the number 1 thing asked for at my lot every single year. Tax time. You've been waiting all year to get this money, and you're going to go to any dealer that says, yes, I'll sell it to you. I won't. I stopped doing this probably 5 years ago. I used to, when I started doing this, buy a whole bunch of fun, cool shit for tax time. Know why? Because it sells super fast, but I end up looking like the bad guy because there's no such thing as a good, fun number one car right here. The number one car is anything that is all-wheel drive, turbo, rear-wheel drive, 6-speed manual, twin turbo, 6 turbo, supercharged. The thing that is your do not buy is a dream car. The project you always wanted. The WRX, the S4, the RS6, the Evo, the RX8, all this crap that seems fun. Don't buy it with your tax money, dude. Like, this is the number one car is actually just advice. Better yourself with the money now. So every year you've been getting back this money, right? So say you've had kids for like 8 years now. I'm past all this. My kids are like grown now. And I pay in anyway. But this is actual information for you. You're about to get money back from your taxes. Instead of buying the cool car that you want, listen to the little thing in your head that says, I should just get a Camry for like $5,000 and pocket the rest. So instead of buying an $8,000 truck or a $10,000 WRX that's going to blow its 10th motor a week from now, do this. Take half that tax money, buy something reliable, and then take the other half of that tax money and make an actual plan. Buy a piece of paper and write down what you want to do with your life. Do you want to be a landscaper, a drywaller? Do you want to buy a food truck? Do you want to start a car dealership? Do you want to sell trinkets with a 3D printer? Like, all these things you say you're going to do, this is your chance to do it, all right? Every year you get a bunch of money back and you blow it on dumb shit. You blow it on weed, you blow it on TVs, you blow it on this list of cars that is all junk. Don't do it. All of these things that you're like, man, I've been waiting all year. I'm going to get my car, man. I'm going to get my car. I'm going to put it on Instagram. I'm going to make some reels with it. Dude, this car is going to change my life. It's not, because what's going to happen is you're going to get the car. The way home, it's going to make a weird noise. And you're going to go, well, it'll probably go away. You drive home. You get home. The next day you start it up. And it made that noise twice now you went to work. You're like, that's a little weird. And then within a month, it's on blocks, and it's worth a third of what you paid because you blew it up. You know why? Because a nice one is out of your price range. Let's be honest. The reason that you go and you log in to bring a trailer, and this is what you do. You have your phone, and you go, $70,000 for that car? Are you nuts? Well, the reason it's $70,000 is that's a nice one. And you can't afford it. These cars, all the crap that I'm showing you in these pictures and the crap, you know what I'm talking about. If it's fun, don't buy it. Because it's only going to be fun for so long. And if you're relying on tax money to achieve the goal of getting this car, you're not in a position to get the car. And I'm sorry, it just is what it is. Use the money that they're going to give you back. All right? You're going to use it. Better your life. Stop buying junk cars that end up on jack stands. There's no reason that you need to have a 20-year-old WRX to post on Instagram. Get a frickin' Corolla. Get your life right. Every year you've been getting this money back. I'm sure it's been years you've been getting this money back. And every year you blow it on dumb shit. The number one thing that you blow it on is the car that looks cool for 6 months and then you're bugging people for rides. And no shade at anybody I know, but I watch this every single year for the last forever. Huge highs, huge lows, right? So you get all this tax money and boom, you're on the rise. You got the freaking cool car. You post a picture. Everybody's like, oh my God, that's awesome. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. Sweet. Give you a like. And then 6 months later, you have probably no job again. The car's been taken. You had to sell it for peanuts because you freaking can't afford it because it has all these issues. These cars were throwaway cars when they were $30,000, $40,000 cars 20 years ago. A good one is worth $50,000, $60,000 because there are no good ones. And that's the reality of it, guys. So I guess 10 through 1 is really just a reality set in your brain here. You cannot just go through life just blowing money on these dumb cars. Get something reliable. You know what a reliable car is. I can make a list, but you already know it's reliable. It's just not fun. You don't want it. You have to deal with shit that you don't want to get what you do want. That's just the reality of life. So that's my list. Stay away from a lot of these cars, man. And just buy what you know is good, even though it's boring. Boring cars are good cars. And that's it. So what did we learn? We learned don't buy any Cadillacs. Don't buy any Nissans. Don't buy any cheap Jeeps. And get your money right. Use this money coming back to you to better your life. Make a plan. Buy a freaking notebook. Write down your life goals and start achieving them with some of the money. You always complain you have no money. Dude, you just got some money. You just blow it on dumb shit. Stop doing that. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.